Good morning and welcome to Rising. Just an extraordinary show today. Robbie, am I wrong?
You're not wrong. My morning is going perfectly so far.
Just going to cruise right into some Hunter Biden.
Oh yeah, wait for that. And we'll also have Brianna Joy Gray, who's here to help us break down what exactly is going on with the child tax credits and dig into how Vice President Kamala Harris ignored reporters' questions on the subject after her press conference yesterday. Later, Kim Iverson, of course, will be here to chat with video journalist for Rebel News, Lincoln Jay, who's been reporting on the Freedom Convoy from Ottawa. He's going to give us an update from the ground.
But right now, we want to tell you about the new emails uncovered from Hunter Biden's infamous laptop that allegedly show the president's son working with a Chinese oil company in Kazakhstan. The company is China's third largest oil company, CNOOC, and was sanctioned by the Trump administration in January of 2021 over its activities in the South China Sea. The $120 million oil deal would have apparently involved the former prime minister of Kazakhstan, who was arrested on suspicion of treason last month. The emails date back to 2014 when Biden was vice president. 1 year before this photo was taken with the Kazakhstani official, Karim Masimov, in Washington, D.C.
The emails from April 2014 show a back and forth between Hunter and his then business partner, Devon Archer, discussing investment opportunities for the China National Offshore Oil Corporation. That same month, both men were appointed to the board of the Ukrainian energy company Burisma Holdings, which paid Biden as much as $1 million a year. Archer suggested that a deal involving the two overseas firms would set them up forever. In a follow-up email, Hunter Biden asked Archer to explain, quote, how a Burisma Kazakhstan-China deal would look. A reasonable question, to which Archer said, quick answer is, I do not have an answer just yet, but that's what I am thinking about, researching and formulating. This is really the A-team of corruption.
Cohen brothers are going to get right on this.
The emails were published Tuesday by the Daily Mail, but don't make it clear whether the deal ever went through. So it's a Cohen brother. You're right. Yeah. It's totally it's Fargo or Burn After Reading. Man, that whole so Hunter Biden clearly tried to formulate an influency type deal, did not succeed, utterly failed. No evidence that this actually weighed on dear old dad at all, or that was any of that. But
the big guy,
the big guy, no.
10% for the big guy.
You have more and more evidence that yes, that part of the story that was famously banned from social media, and everyone said, everyone in the mainstream media said, don't read it, it's misinformation, don't even look at it, right. Don't even think about it, how dare you see it. It's true. it's true.
Oh, the laptop has been confirmed as authentic. I think we can safely presume that these emails, which are claimed to have come from that laptop, can be presumed to be authentic. If they're somehow not, and they're somehow fabricated as part of it, that would be just the wildest.
At this point, that would be truly wild because they have never contested. Hunter Biden's side has never contested the authenticity of it.
Right, and different media outlets have copies of the hard drive that they've been mining for content, and for incriminating information like this one. Interesting that this was missed for this long. If it was, maybe this was mentioned in some reporting, and I and other people missed it in the past. But right, I mean, this is where the money is in this type of global corruption, and we talked about this with Henry Cuellar just the other day. An Azerbaijan oil company was getting very close to Henry Cuellar, who was the subject of an FBI raid recently, because their pipelines are perfectly at the intersection of diplomacy, foreign policy, the necessity of billions of upfront capital, and regulatory approvals. And so every step of the way, you need not just powerful people, but like the most powerful people, because you've got to get heads of state agreeing to these cross-border projects. And Hunter Biden was seen as a potential way in. What's interesting here is that the argument for a very long time was that, and I still think that there's a lot of truth to this, that the reason to have Hunter Biden on the Burisma board was to curry favor with Joe Biden over corruption and like Ukrainian internal politics. And I do think that there is something to that, because I think that he was useful for some of their internal problems that they were having. But it now appears that the timing lines up. that the real thing that he was really bringing to them was pulling together this Chinese pipeline project where Burisma is going to do the work, Kazakhstan is going to be the setting, and the Chinese company is going to be the one.
A project
that
Hunter
runs
Biden
it.
clearly didn't even really understand.
No.
Logistics
And that's not his job. He's also at this time.
His job is to be named Biden.
Right, and we know from the New Yorker article that he kind of, he was really under the gun, and so he just did a tell-all interview with the New Yorker to try to get in front of everything. So we know at this precise time he was on a crack bender, like a wild, out-of-control bender that involved leaving a crack pipe in a rental car, getting a gun pulled on him in Skid Row in Los Angeles, just on just a Chad run across the world. And so obviously he's not there for his analytical chops at that moment because he's not going to show up for the Zoom call because he's on Skid Row, like quite literally on Skid Row. And so, yes, like he was there for the name. It was his job to help get people in the room that could then, and then it's those people's job to get this,
to work out the deal,
to work out the details,
and get everybody paid.
And then they pay Hunter Biden on the side for greasing this. Like that's how the sons of
classic influence
oligarchs and presidents make their money, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, last month, Senators Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson sent a letter to Secret Service Director James Murray that alleged the agency improperly redacted records related to Hunter C's overseas travel and, quote, hid names and other information contained in email conversations regarding Hunter Biden without any proper legal justification, unquote. The senators noted that documents turned over at their request do not show whether personnel or Hunter Biden traveled to Kazakhstan in May or June 2014, unquote. And this is important because there are always legitimate reasons to redact some information when you publish classified, when you publish classified.
We don't want our
private
sources getting our agents, our assets.
Even the Intercept,
overseas.
as pro-transparency as we are, sometimes we'll redact things that could put people in harm's way. But that is very frequently abused by the government, and it looks like that's the case here.
Right, when you get those pages back where every line is blacked out.
Blacked
Here's
out.
the page, just blacked out, blacked out, blacked out.
So where did Hunter go? Like, it is important to know, did he go to Kazakhstan? Because we do know that he traveled to China on Air Force Two with President Biden. And he used that.
Dad, can you drop me off in Kazakhstan?
Drop me off, and hey, can you shake hands with this guy?
Right.
Just a buddy of mine.
Right.
Because that handshake, that's a multi-million-dollar handshake.
Right.
To be able to get a photo of yourself with the Vice President of the United States as you're trying to work out this deal.
Right.
Like that's the currency in this world.
And he knew that. Hunter knew that.
Absolutely
Hunter knew
that.
he had to get.
And if Joe Biden didn't know that, then he's a moron. He must have known that.
Right. But he didn't. But he didn't do it. Joe Biden, as far as we know, as far as we can tell, kept his hands clear of all this thing.
Well, he did allow Hunter Biden on Air Force Two.
Well, yeah.
And he also did meet with Bobolinsky, his business partner. According to Bobolinsky, and according to, which is backed up by a lot of text message traffic and emails that suggest that Bobolinsky is telling the truth here, that they did meet. He doesn't say that they discussed anything specific about business, but that's not exactly what a person like Joe Biden would do in that meeting. Like the purpose of that meeting is to say, look, see, my dad will show up and he will meet with you. And then there's that famous email that says 10% for the big guy, which, according to his business partner, the big guy is Joe Biden. So
presumably,
we don't have any smoking guns, but there's a.
I've been skeptical that this would be, the thing to bring down Biden, or
I still don't.
But
right, we're so
I don't know,
polarized.
we're getting there, I guess.
I know, it's such a polarized environment. Nothing can bring a president down at this point.
Nothing can bring a president
because you need 2/3 to convict.
Do you think this is going to be the thing?
And also, this didn't happen while he was president.
Right.
But anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. We'll see how interested conservative media, Republican opposition is in this story. Given it maybe some new legs to it here.
And the problem is, I don't think there's
more
much
about the pandemic.
There's not much link. There's not much direct link from Biden to this one. Like Joe Biden's connection is to some of the other deals, And so this gives it more legs, but it doesn't link it back to that. And also, the entire democratic world is not paying attention to this. It's not that they don't believe it or disagree with the details of it. They don't know it. They're just not looking. They're just looking the other direction.
Yeah.
So that way they don't even have to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, we're dealing with it. We're letting people know about it. We still think it's interesting, and president's son. But what can you do? Well, we'll tell you what's on our radars coming up next.